Rachel, the 2025 women's tennis season is off and running, and you guys had a chance to open the season as you often do with Lewis Clark State down in Lewiston, and just talk about how things got off to a start for you guys.
Lewis Clark State always is a good challenge for us just because not only are they quality players, but they bring a lot of variety in their game style. And so it's good for us to see that up front so that we can start the problem solving process to prepare us more for the mental adaptations we have to make in match play. So it's just always a quality experience because they're quality players and it requires us to adapt. So we ultimately ended up losing that match, but had a lot of really good, close matches along the way. Some great doubles, and Gracie Smiley specifically won at the number 2 singles spot pretty handedly to a player she had lost to last year, so that was a really good victory.
You opened conference play this past weekend against Whitman, who by all accounts is as good as they've been the last few years. Talk about how that went and how that sets you up maybe for the rest of the conference. There's a long way to go, but gives you an idea of where you stand.
Yes, so Whitman has always just been a powerhouse, and that hasn't changed. They are athletes, and I would say a good word to describe them as they're mature competitors. That they know how to get it done when they're in a tough spot. And we went out and for the first time in a long while just dominated in doubles. Our number 1 doubles team, Gracie Smiley and Faith Kurt, took on the top-rated doubles team from Whitman and beat them 6-1. This is at least half of that team were in the ITA finals. So, I mean, this is a really top-quality doubles team, and we just dominated at the 1 spot. At the 3 spot, we were really close. We ended up dropping a 4-6 set. And then at 2, it came down to Paige Oliver and Audrey Judson, and they ended up getting that doubles point for us, clinching at 2, which was great. I think our team was astounded at how realistic and doable this was going to be because Whitman has been this great, tough team that we're just hoping that we can stay in the match with. And I think for the first time we saw the light at the end of the tunnel and recognized this is a team that is like us. We need to compete and show up, and we can get this done. Ultimately, as this is our second match, we didn't do that, and credit where credit is due. Whitman competed very well and worked hard to get all 6 of the singles matches, but we were in a lot of those singles matches. Audrey Judson split sets at the number 5 singles spot. And I think the lesson we're learning as we leave this weekend is that we can do anything, and we have a lot of opportunity and a lot of space ahead of us. We've just got to learn how to play with confidence and purpose.
You mentioned Gracie Smiley earlier, and Faith Kurt. Gracie, as senior, is now playing number 2 instead of number 1, as she has.
Yeah.
Just talk about how the chemistry has worked out, that has been a positive thing for this team, where in some cases someone might have some frustration or jealousy that they're not at the top of the ladder anymore.
Yeah, Gracie and Faith, and I will say every player on our team recognize that we are a team. And without sounding overly optimistic, I do believe everyone on our team wants to play at the peak of their ability, and they want to be pressured at the peak as well. So, I mean, everyone ideally is gunning for that number 1 spot, but also simultaneously, we want to show up and do what's best for the team. And I think most of my players, I've heard almost all of my top 6 say, just put me somewhere. put me where I need to be. Ultimately, we do challenge matches, and we look at inter-squad results against other players to kind of dictate what our lineup is. And this is what it makes sense for on paper right now. And jealousy is just not a component. I think everyone is excited to just be out there playing and swinging the racket at a yellow fuzzy ball.
You get more opportunities to do that this weekend when you take on Pacific University and Willamette University. What challenges will they present?
Pacific is the other top school in our conference on paper. Just looking at rankings and ratings, Whitman and Pacific are kind of those two top teams to beat. Definitely have some national rankings attached to a lot of the players and their roster. Very different teams, Pacific and Willamette. Pacific is full of a lot of heavy hitters and very mature players. They have a younger roster as well, so there's quite a few players we don't know as well and haven't seen play as often. But the top player in the conference plays at Pacific, and we've had Gracie Smiley play her a few times, and Gracie's had great success against her in some of those matchups and really tough situations in others. It's hard to know. Everyone can change their lineup week to week, so it's hard to know where everyone's going to end up shaking out and what those matchups are going to be, but that's also part of what makes each time we play these schools fun, is that sometimes we can have the same lineup on our end and a different lineup yields different results when the other team submits and changes their roster just slightly. So we'll have to see what happens against Pacific, but I think we're going to lean pretty heavily again on our doubles savvy, as that was an area we are walking away with a lot of confidence from in this last weekend. Willamette historically is a school that we can't overlook. They show up and they definitely have a lot of passion and they really want it on the court. Historically, though, we've done quite well against Willamette, but there's not really a school in our conference this year that there'll be any overlooking. I'm planning to play full roster against everyone every time because we just have a tough conference.